Hi everyone, welcome to Daily Revelations. This is a weekly Bible study where we go through one book of the Bible a week using precept methods. And I kind of lead you through that and then share with you what God has revealed to me. Doesn't mean that that's what He's going to reveal to you. So I encourage you to dig into the Word yourself as well. And so today is our first day in Daniel 2. And so what you're going to do when you first approach this chapter, even though you've maybe read it many times, is to read it with new eyes. Just go through, read it from start to finish, and just ask God, what about this do you just want to point out to me? And to me, the word Chiladans just kept popping up. And the more I looked at it, the more difficult I found it to understand, because the Chiladans were listed next to the magicians and the conjurers, and kind of thought, well, what's the difference in this? So I went back to the Hebrew root words and kind of did a little searching because I wanted to understand that more. So that's what popped out to me. Doesn't mean this is what's going to pop out to you, but I'm sharing it because this may shed some light on your understanding of this chapter. So the Chiladans were specifically astrologers or people from the area of Chilada. So in the context, it didn't make sense that these Chiladans, maybe the Chiladans or the people of Chilada, were known for the multitude of astrologers that they had within their people groups, and maybe it was something they focused on. But specifically, this chapter points to that this is a separate group than the magicians and the conjurers. So the magicians, if you go and look back to that word, they were the ones who dealt with the occult and with sorcery and with incantations. The conjurers were more enchanters. And don't want to dig too much into that. As the Bible tells us, don't try to get understanding in these things, just to get understanding in what is good. So I kind of dug into the astrologer part, and the astrologers are those people that look to the stars, look to the heavens. Well, of course, Daniel it makes sense why he kind of got put in that group, because he was the one who looked to the God of the heavens and the earth, and that's where he found himself. And so this was a whole group of what Babylon considered their wise men. We may consider it now not so wise, but at the time, that's what they did. So in the end, we find that Daniel was then appointed the chief of all of them, all over Babylon. And that I'd never noticed before in reading this. And it made me think, what an unrighteous appointment for God to say, okay, I'm going to have you be all over these people that do things of the occult, that have incantations, that do sorcery, and look to the stars for truth. And here you are, my servant, lead them. Isn't that interesting? And it was a most unlikely place to be appointed. And as I was thinking and praying about that, God sent me to a verse in James, and I want to read that to you, because this will give you a little bit more context of how to view what God does when He puts us in places that don't seem like they're really the best place to be as a Christian or as a believer or in living out your faith. Why am I here? And we know that Daniel served in this position his entire life. But God had a purpose in that. So here we go. In James 4, starting in verse 12, it says this: there is only one lawgiver and one judge, the one who is able to save and to destroy. But who are you to judge your neighbor? Who are you to judge what other people do? Come now, you who say today or tomorrow we will do such and such in a city and spend a year there and do our business and make a profit. Yet you do not know what your life will be tomorrow. You are just a vapor that appears for a little while and then vanishes away. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will do this or that. But as it is, you boast in your arrogance. Ooh, arrogant about our faith and what God should do with us versus what He wills to do with us. And such boasting is evil. Therefore, to one who knows the right thing to do and doesn't do it, to him it is sin. Following God's will for our life, not our predetermination of what is righteous or unrighteous, is what is truly good in God's sight and keeps us from sinning. So in looking at this, we have to say, you know what? This is about my relationship with God, about listening to him, about following him, not about what the world says is Christian and the things that I should be doing as a Christian. Yes, there is an overarching law, but the lawgiver will never lead us outside of that. So that's your encouragement for today. Thanks for joining me on Daily Revelations. We will continue tomorrow as we continue the study in Daniel 2 and dig in a little bit more using another precept study. So have an awesome day, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.